So the beginning of this will start off. I'll just call myself out. So I'm sitting here and I'm not hearing Cookie through the headphones. Nothing's connecting in my stupid brain.
Who doesn't want to
why.
hear these dulcet tones?
Yeah. Well, no, I could still hear you. The problem was I had it wasn't going through the Rodecaster. It was going through just my computer. So it was just my computer mic and my computer speakers. I'm hearing you there. It's not connecting that I'm not hearing it in my headphones. And I'm like, why is it not connecting? And let me tell you why. Let me show you why I'm stupid. I look down and I have both ends of the Rode cable plugged into my computer.
I promise we're getting better at this.
I'm going in reverse, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, this is the music day of the podcast.
And officially the first, because we've done the Tuesday, we've done the Friday. This is the first officially music one. We had the preview.
Yep.
Speaking of what's behind me on the wall back here.
Yep, this is powered by the Jupiter Theory Agency and Theory Media Group, which we had talked to Taylor and Aaron before. There's going to be a lot more about that going in. Basically, we're going to have some guests. We're doing a weird thing today, Cookie, and I barely gave you a description on this, which is very much...
Shocker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done. By the way, Cookie, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, 100% exactly what happened. And so what we're doing today is we're going to have a couple people up here. One of them is actually in a band.
Couple people?
A couple handful. So one of them is actually
It's more than a few.
Well, one I'm waiting to get confirmation on. So we're gonna have a person here that's in a band. We're also gonna have a couple people that are more on the fan side of music, and the other person that's gonna be here is our friend Megan. Yep. But she's a huge metal person. Her whole TikTok page is her like lip syncing and like listening to different bands and like sharing different bands. She's a huge promoter of music, so she's actually going to be pretty great at stuff like that. But the whole point of this is we're starting a music podcast day. And Cookie, we've already discussed our history with this, and we'll go over this again when the guests get in here. Cookie has already talked about how he was a photographer for bands in the Dallas music scene, which the Dallas music scene is completely underrated.
Yeah.
Real great area down there, especially that Deep Ellum area of Dallas there, which I got to see a little bit of. And I, in a very terrible fashion, also threw myself into playing my acoustic shows while our buddy Jeremy beat up paper towel dispensers. Also, I did the band thing as a performer for a while. I also shoot concerts now. Music is a very big part of me and Cookie's lives. Like, we talk about it all the time, probably more than sports in many occasion. So we got into the music side of things, and it's like, man, I just look forward to talking to bands and everything like that. But instead of just throwing us into it, going on what we think it's going to be, we want to hear from someone who's in the industry. We want to hear from people that are fans of the industry that don't have their own podcast, and kind of get an idea of what's to expect. What would they like to see out of it?
Yeah. And as you said, I will vouch for the Dallas music scene. Some massive names have come out of there. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Pantera, the Toadies, Polyphonic Spree, Old 97.
The Toadies are from Dallas?
Yeah. Erykah Badu, Post Malone. I mean, you name it. Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, yeah, it's the Dallas-Fort Worth scene as a whole. I mean, Kelly Clarkson is from just south of Fort Worth in Burleson.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, so it's a huge scene, and the bands I worked with back in the day, none of them made the national scene, although there was a couple that I probably should have, and if they'd kind of stayed with it, they probably would have made some waves. But they were having fun doing what they were doing, and more power to them. So yeah, it was a fun time in my life, that's for sure. It was my favorite form of photography I did, was doing the live bands, more so than sports, definitely more so than studio work, which we talked to Taylor about the other day. But
neither of us are big fans of the studio work.
No, but live bands, man, there's nothing like it. It's so fun.
It's similar to sports because you get one shot to get the photo, no pun intended.
But along with that, that's the exciting part, because you get one shot at it, and you're not getting that again. But at the same time, if you get it, you have that moment that's never happening again.
Exactly. And it's
my photography, education days, we talked about the decisive moment, Henry Cartier-Bresson, not to get all detailed and all that, but that was his thing, the decisive moment. That's what live bands and sports and things like that are all about.
Yep, and it's awesome. Like for bigger major touring acts, if you see videos of their live show, you could do a little bit of research going into it because they keep it pretty much the same every night. I did that for when I photographed Lorna Shore last year. I saw a little bit about what they were doing in their set. But otherwise, I mean, you're really shooting it on their own, especially these smaller clubs. And Cookie and I have both said everyone's so worried about shooting major acts with this professional lighting and all this other kind of stuff. Cookie and I will die on this hill. If you can get a good photo in a shitty club or a shitty bar, you can get good photos anywhere. Yeah. That means you're doing everything right as long as you're not on auto. So, exactly. But so we're going to have some people in and we want to hear their side of things as far as the podcast going. One of them is going to be a familiar face. And as we come back, we're going to go ahead and introduce everybody. Everybody here, and when I say everybody, this is the first time we've had this many people in the system, so to speak here. But to kind of go around the room here, for those who've watched the show before, everybody knows Adam Powell down there in the corner. Adam has been here to co-host a show with us. We also had Adam on here as we talked about him living with multiple sclerosis. In the upper corner is fondly known as Fattermike. Mike was a musician himself, hauling from the Jersey area. Mike also just is a huge music connoisseur. Yeah, just go with it. Hey, he's hauling. He's hailing from there, but he's also hauling from there.
I am.
He's hauling. He lives his life in the dark. And getting him to be on camera in the first place is quite the achievement. So we're not going to push his buttons anymore. But Mike, we were just discussing, one of my favorite things about Mike is his outstanding record collection, and even the way Mike handles the records as he puts them on,
very real.
Very real.
My very real record.
It is there, I promise. So, and then in the middle there we have Bryan from the band Cheerupdusty, which I did make a TikTok post when they sent me their merch stuff that I was so excited about. The shirts are awesome, the stickers are awesome, but it was the handwritten note that just really made everything great. And a quick story about the band Cheerupdusty. So we were talking about this, Bryan, and we told you we had a story about the band name. I was talking about how they're going to be on, you guys are going to be on, and I was like gassing you up. And then Cookie's like, yeah, so just the other day, my parents' cat died after 15 years, and the cat's name was Dusty.
It literally happened about 3 days before we recorded that episode. And he's wearing a shirt. And he's literally wearing a shirt that says "Cheer Up, Dusty." I'm like, oh, that's
gonna be pretty hard for him to cheer up.
Yeah.
Mom does not watch. Mom does not watch the show, which that's a whole other story. But thank God she didn't for this one.
Yeah, it's not the sign up from above on a shirt that you needed.
But yeah, Cheer Up Dusty. You guys are from the Philly area. It's funny. You guys call yourself pop punk. I see on there, and I just. You guys are a bit heavier than pop punk, in my opinion.
Yeah, I used the question mark at the end because it's through it all, you know, and it naturally it happens. The very earlier stuff is true, but I absolutely get it.
Yeah, and it's great stuff. And Cheer Up Dusty is going to be a guest on our music show here as well in the future. And then over there is Meg. Meg is on the other side of the country. Meg is very smart, regardless of the silly things she just did. But Meg is a massive music fan that I just stumbled upon her page on TikTok, and she's just always like promoting bands and promoting different music on there, and which is why this conglomeration of people is real important, because for the first music episode we're doing here, before just running into all of our episodes, the thing I wanted to do, and I informed Cookie about this about 10 minutes before I sent the link out to you guys.
As usual.
I have zero preparation, but
poor guy.
Yeah, he's used to it now.
He shows it to me all the time.
Yeah, he's used to it now. But the thing I wanted to do is before we kick into a whole series, a weekly series with discussing bands and everything like that, it being a podcast, I want to hear it not just from fans about if you're listening to a podcast about music, the kind of things that you guys want to hear, but also I want to hear it from the bands, the people we're going to be interviewing of as the artists themselves. Like, how do you guys want to be represented? What are the different kind of things that you want to hear? So we're setting it up kind of like a panel. And there's 6 of us here now, which thank you, Riverside, for this is holding up pretty good so far.
I'm looking forward to making this thumbnail later.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just happy that John was able to count to 6.
one try as well, Adam. So what's up?
He's got enough fingers.
I do.
You get past there, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I have to take my shoes off. But as we get started on this here, and then the small reminders again, obviously I was in a band a long time ago. Mike was a performer. Cookie was a big time photographer for the Dallas music scene at a time, that deep Ellum scene that we talk about. And so we all have deep ties to music. And, me and Meg have talked actually a lot about different songs. It's like, if you listen to the lyrics on this and how the different lyrics, I kind of will talk to you and things. But it's funny because Adam likes to be the tough guy a lot of times. But Adam will send me songs talking about lyrics a lot as well. What'd you say, Cook?
He's a big softy.
He is. Adam's an absolute. Adam's so sweet. We're all gonna get cavities. But Adam. So I'm gonna start with Adam because you listen to a lot and you take in a lot of things. Like, what kind of things are you wanting to hear out of a podcast? And while Adam answers, if there's a small break, if somebody's got something they want to chime in, like, by all means, cut each other off.
Well, I would just want to hear more about. I'm really interested in people's influences, like the bands that really got them into why they play what they play or why they love what they love. Because, when I was a kid, I really got into Pantera, and that shaped my musical existence for all of life. Like, I've always been a metal guy, so I would love to hear more stories about that, like what your influences are, even if for Bryan, the pop punk type, where did that come from? I'm curious about that right now. So stuff like that I would love to hear.
Cookie, what about you? Actually, you're always been a music guy. Like, you read a lot, and you're big into these. You listen to a lot of podcasts too. So
you're making me sound way smarter than I really am.
Well, he tries to read a lot.
No, mine's all over the place, as you well know. Growing up in Texas, which, as we've said many times, I don't claim very often, but obviously down there it started with country, but I got away from that pretty quick and moved into. I'm old enough to have grown up in the Motley Crue days and all that stuff, and Kiss and Quiet Riot and all that, and then when I went off to school in upstate New York for high school, that's when my
North
love
Country.
What's that?
North Country, but keep going.
Yeah, shut up. That's when my love and obsession with, Grateful Dead and Fish and Widespread Panic and all that stuff kind of kicked in. So these days it's all over the map still. It's my iHeartRadio and Spotify playlists are pretty random, very random, in fact. So yeah, my influences were all over the place. But shooting bands, again, was the same thing. When I was doing the photography thing, I would shoot everything from rockabilly bands, which were probably my favorites to shoot just because they're a lot of fun, but did rock bands and things like that. So it just kind of spread a lot of genres.
Mike, by the way, knows so much about so many different bands. So, I'm curious as to what kind of things, because especially Mike, you have such a wide variety of taste in music. Like, what are you looking for, especially if you just want to kind of learn about it and hear about them? Because I know you just jump to tune into every one of our episodes on this podcast here.
I kind of have to agree with Adam, like the influences. But you know what? Don't tell me about this random band. Like, don't be that record store guy who's like, oh, the best album from last year was Lucy's Decapitated Corpse. And nobody knows what the fuck that is. Nobody knows what that is. Nobody cares. Like, was the latest Tool record any good? Was I want to know about the stuff other people know about.
Mike, is that a real band?
No, I just I don't think so.
It says
will
here
be
they actually.
soon.
It says here they have 100 monthly listeners.
Sorry, Mike, keep going.
That's what I want to know, and I want to know about like releases and tours and stuff like
You
that.
don't you don't want John Cusack in High Fidelity, is what you're saying.
No,
Such a good movie, though.
I want Jack Black in High Fidelity.
There you go.
You know, because he knows about blood on the tracks, and he knows about, but nobody knows about the beta band, John. Nobody cares. I mean, I like the beta band, but nobody cares about the beta band.
You said that so aggressively, Mike. I for a second thought you were actually yelling at me.
No. Sorry. It was John Cusack.
I was like, what the hell did I do? All right, Meg, what about you over there? I mean, like, you post a ton of stuff all the time.
And I almost felt like I get what he's saying, but I almost feel the opposite because I feel like sometimes like I feel like I hear the like mainstream bands are so like this and that, and sometimes I'm like I don't really care. I want to know about the little hole in the wall bands. Like I feel like a lot of the music I listen to is from TikTok, and if I hadn't got on TikTok, I probably wouldn't know probably a good 75% of my music at the moment.
I mean,
I definitely see both sides of that for sure.
Yeah.
No, I totally get what he's saying, but I say on the other side, like, like you're, like, honestly, like Bill Murray, like, I found them on TikTok, and I don't know if I would have just ever come across them just out in the real world,
And that's actually a pretty funny thing because Bill Murray's massive right now. And
yeah.
Bill Murray and the singer of Bill Murray, Johnny Franks, I think his name is, him and Caleb Shomo both came from the same band. And now they're doing the same thing in two different bands where they write and record all the music themselves. And they have a band that tours with them for everything. And Beartooth's been big for quite some time, but Bill Murray exploded recently. And TikTok is a big reason for that. We're actually going to get into that in a little bit, too, about the whole music industry. And it's flipped on its head right now. And I can attest to what Meg's saying because she'll send me, she's like, have you heard these guys? And I'll send something, and I'll be like, have you heard these? And she's like, yeah, I heard them like a month ago, you loser. Like, catch up. She doesn't usually call me a loser, but...
I usually call them worse.
Yeah. Cookie's like, wow, she knows them real well already. But Bryan, now Bryan's in a different position because, like, Bryan, even though he's in a band, he's still a fan of music. I mean, that's why you get into music is you're a fan of it first, and you're like, oh, I want to do this. But, I mean... I don't know if you listen to other podcasts and stuff. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen a ton of podcasts out there that are geared towards music specifically outside of the reaction channels. Mm-hmm. But like, what about you? I mean, you're in a band, and I mean, you're setting you guys up. You guys are practicing writing, working on shows and tours and things like that. So, what kind of stuff would you guys look for?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's like I'm hearing everybody's input, right? I think there's a balance in how I would describe it. Really is. I want to understand people's and other artists' relationship with music. I always find that interesting, and that could be done various ways, right? Whether it being that, do they like the latest Tool album, right? And, depending on whether they geek out about it and how they describe it in detail could be great. And the same goes for that hole in the wall band, because, frankly, we are that hole in the wall band right now. So we want somebody, cool being like, yeah, listen to Cheer Up Dusty, because that ultimately, like Bill Murray, a lot of these artists that, even that I like, that I've seen grow up where, driveways that opened for Bill Murray, we opened for them and have seen them come through Philly and, just ball out and crush these 125, 150 cap rooms. And now they're with Bill Murray, and we were like, crap, we're gonna never see him again without paying like $50. And you still listen to them every day, and that kind of relationship when people get excited about that, they spread that word of mouth. But yeah, ultimately, I love, and when I mentioned that, I'm part of writing, our producer has a YouTube channel that, even though he's my friend and we text, like I watch his channel out of his relationship for music because he's constantly talking about, geeking about it, going into layer, and I love that. So if that's like translated in a way, and being, just pitch artists, because you know, a lot of artists also on the flip side of, you know, just having the proper question is, don't just be like, yeah, I like Blink, I like Sum 41, I like Green Day. Tell me a little bit more. Tell me about the first time you listened to Green Day. You know, tell me about the first time, you know, to answer Adam's question and to kind of add impact to, you know, the story, right? I came to this country when I was like 6 years old, and my first core memories of like learning English had to do with, you know, watching Bowling for Soup music videos.
Another Texas fan for you, Cookie, from that area.
Yep.
And then, you know, and then Jarrett Fermetic found our, you know, he stitched our practice video. So like that moment coming full circle, and I'm just like sending it to my dad, you know, being like, like, you know, do you remember all these times as like, you know, like a little child, like the fuck, man. These things are really cool. And then like, I love to hear that from other artists. Like I want to know when music had an impact on you. Did the latest album have an impact? Did the newest one? But, you know, definitely open it up to the relationship with music. I love that.
Bowling for Soup, by the way, is one of the best live bands you will see. Those guys are perfect live, unless they've had too many beers and they play an acoustic show. I got some recordings of that too. But when it's their full band playing a show live, they're unbelievable.
And it's crazy that
the big thing to answer this question as a whole would be not so much as the who the influence is, but the why. And I think that's where you're coming from, Brian, is more the why. Don't just say, like you said, oh, Green Day. Well, that's great, but what about them? Like, what is it? And I think that gets lost in the conversation a lot of times, especially in little short form, you know, conversations and short form interviews. You don't get to kind of expand on why, whether it's music or art or whatever it is. You need that, you know, why is something so important to you?
Mike, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it's really cool, like the Bowling for Soup thing, that now you're in a podcast with Jarrett's doppelganger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Mike. I remember you extremely hurting my feelings about that.
I remember that too. It was fantastic.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, thank you for thinking I had such musical talent, but the other part of it is very hurtful. But, yeah, I mean, it's like, especially, you know, the stories of these, not just like why you like him and what you're connecting to him. Like I talk about Beartooth a lot. Because if you listen to like Beartooth's albums, it's almost like a diary of Caleb's life of what he was going through at different points, from when he was big into alcohol and drugs and the depression and everything, and then the album where he was like healing, until now where he's, you know, on the better side of being healed, and how the songs have like shifted. And like if you look at his first album work from the first Beartooth album to now, it's like two different bands, and it's pretty cool. Because like he's also being very vulnerable and writing about that kind of stuff, which is really what a lot of what music is. So, Adam, you mentioned Pantera was what shaped all of this here. So like what was it about Pantera that you really liked? Like what kind of stuck out?
It was something that it wasn't really my style. My sister was always listening to either rap or, you know, lighter stuff, pop stuff, and I just couldn't connect with it. And for some reason, she had the Cowboys from Hell album on CD, and I think I had the Verve. I remember the Verve. Mm-hmm. I think they were from Grand Rapids, but I remember trading her my Verve CD for Cowboys from Hell, and then that was it.
Great trade.
It was all over from there.
Who won the trade, Cookie?
Adam won the trade.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pantera, I mean, you want to talk, find me a metal band these days that doesn't list Pantera as an influence.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, everything is Pantera, because, I mean, they were massive, even with all the drama that they went through.
Name drop time, so, like, I'm not a big super celebrity guy. Like, I don't really care about meeting them, all that stuff, but I was at it was called Dirt Fest up in Flint, and I was actually doing photography and doing interviews at it, just randomly because a friend of mine needed somebody else to do it, and I actually got to meet Phil and took a selfie with him.
Oh, nice.
And that dude, as we took our first selfie, he just full on put his whole right hand directly on my ass and just squeezed it. And then
I didn't know you were dating him.
It's funny because like the first picture, I was like laughing, and I was like, "Oh no, I can't do this! Like we got to be serious." So we took another one, and then we got done with the picture, and he looked right at me, and in his deep, gravelly voice, he's like, "It's okay. I'm comfortable with my sexuality." I was like, "This is the best experience of my life."
And then he tried to finger you.
Yes, correct.
Man, that's a all right. Adam wins the story of the night.
Talk about full circle. I got that from Bryan's full circle, so that was my full circle moment.
Yeah, no kidding. Mike, what is it you're listening to these days? Like you play your records, you have a lot of stuff you always listen to. Like what's on? I
always go back to hardcore and punk. That's always been the main staple for me. Is I love that Southern California sound, the circle jerk, 7 seconds, Black Flag. I love that stuff. So I will listen to everything, but I always go back to is the hardcore and punk. And there's a couple of Jersey hardcore bands like Vision was huge for me. Into another, I don't think they're Jersey, but whatever. Like it's that kind of stuff that I always go back to. That's what I'm listening to normally.
Was there a huge punk scene in Jersey? Because if you think back, like we were joking around about the Kevin Smith earlier, if you look at like a lot of those early movies, they're loaded with punk bands.
There was, up around his way, there was the Birch Hill, which was pretty big. It was a good venue for punk shows. Like I said, I grew up in Trenton, so we had City Gardens, which is kind of like a legendary club in the area. And I don't know, Bryan, if you know about City Gardens being in Ewing, having spent time in Ewing, but City Gardens was this massive thing, and it was like the halfway point between Philly and New York, and bands would just stop there on their way up or down. So it was always, and we got to see everybody. Like I got to see Nirvana in the spring of '91.
That's crazy.
With like 300 other people. Like, I've seen the Descendants. I saw the Bouncing Souls at that venue alone probably 30 times. So,
wow.
It's always a punk and hardcore thing for me. Always going back to that.
So then there you go, Bryan. You have a new fan just sitting there waiting.
Absolutely.
The very first concert, sorry, Bryan. The very first concert I ever went to was MXPX. That was about as punk as I got. I never listened to it again because I never liked it.
I'll tell you what.
It was the first concert I ever went to.
One of the craziest shows I ever seen at a venue was Sick of It All. And they played at this like 200 person venue in Orlando that's like really long and narrow. And the stage isn't very big, and they were psychotic on stage.
Sick of It All is amazing. So
they're so good.
They're so good live. I hope Blue's going to be okay.
I thought Bryan was about to say something, so I was like,
I didn't want to let any air, but I was gonna say, no, in South Jersey, in Jersey as a whole, there's a really the South Jersey side of it has, I would say, the best music scene, especially compared from growing up and a little bit more on the north side. It was actually part of the reason why I moved down to Philadelphia and joined, because in my first band, I started seeing all these bands. There's more community, and then our former drummer now, he would just have all these stories just everywhere in the Cherry Hill, Voorhees, South Jersey, that entire area that, it bred a lot of, really important scene staples around here going into Philly. And yeah, just wouldn't trade that stuff for the world. Really great around here.
The punk scene is pretty. Go ahead, Adam.
I'm sorry.
No.
Where I'm from in Flint. In Flint, we have the Machine Shop, which is, I've been going there since I was 18 years old, and it's basically a rock, and they now do like outlaw country stuff, but it's 500 people tops, and like I got to see bands like Shinedown, Seether, like before they were big, and Killswitch Engage, and Hatebreed, stuff like that. They came through there all the time because, again, they'd come to Detroit for a big show, and then they just come here for a small show. And so it was really great growing up with that scene, and I was really tight with the people there, the people that work there, the owners, the radio station. So like that was really formative in my musical years, like liking that music so much and being a big staple to grow up with the machine shop and just see all the different bands there.
So Meg, I know you kind of live. You're not quite in a hugely populated area, right? Out there, like we don't have to dox you. Or
No, but
anything
like when I was growing up, we had a big music scene up in Sacramento, like a lot of local shows.
Is that you're closer to up north there?
Yeah.
So how often? I mean, do you get a chance to go to a lot of shows? I mean, do you have some stuff locally? I mean, as
We
involved
had
with like music.
like Sac's like 45 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. So like we had like in Orangeville, there's a place called the Boardwalk. So I've seen like Seether, like so many bands, and like there would be like 150 people there. And then now we have like Ace of Spades, but I think that tops out at like 300. And there's big bands that go there. Like I've seen the Plot Eater there. Bad Omens has been there. Like it's one of the smaller. But other than that, I feel like the only other place is like going down to LA.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's almost like the LA scene. We've talked about this before. Is like the LA scene's getting kind of weird now. It's a lot of pay to play. Yeah. It's which I understand. Like venues lose a ton of money if a band doesn't bring a crowd, especially if they have to pay the bands. But I mean, and the reason I was asking about shows and going to shows and stuff like that too. I mean, one of the things we talked about was doing some show reviews and everything, like show reviews, like some getting some photographers out at shows, doing a little bit of bringing journalism back to music, because a lot of journalism has really just gone to being totally biased, and if they're not biased, it's hate speech almost against a lot of these acts. And honestly, like I would love to hear true reviews of bands and stuff like that. So, I mean, again, with it being a podcast-based theme here, how do you guys feel about if someone were to come on and make the podcast be about, like, reviewing a show? Like, they went to a show and this is how it was? Or do you feel like that can get too catty too quick if someone's just kind of pissed off about things? Or is there somebody you think that should kind of that be their thing and that kind of stuff? I mean, like, Meg, you're a fan that's collecting everything from TikTok right now, which can be one of the best or most toxic places at one time on the face of the earth. Did you hear the way she just said yes?
Yep.
To that, like, everybody check yourself. You might be bleeding right now. But I mean, do you feel like a podcast would be a place to maybe review shows, or do you think that's just a place to really get to know bands?
I think you could go both ways. I feel like if you followed kind of like a criteria and some guidelines of like what you're going with as far as like bands, but also venue, but also just like vibes, because I know you guys are males, but like a female going to a show, I feel like I will literally go to TikTok and look up, like I just saw Holy Water and Chiodos up in Sac, and I literally went to TikTok and I was like, I'm gonna go get the vibe of these shows so that like I can see almost kind of like what kind of people are there, like what are people wearing. And I know that might not be like a thing for you guys, but I feel like as a female it's a thing.
I mean, it could be, and I get that side of it, because you want to make sure you're going to go somewhere you enjoy the music, but also if safety is a concern.
Yeah.
With all of that.
Not so much safety, just like vibes, because like I feel like some shows I go to, it's like very male based, and like, you know, 95% of them are always great, but then I feel like sometimes you just come across some where they're just like look at you like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a thing in the female world.
I unfortunately have known many people and be like, this isn't a place for girls when it comes to like metal shows, especially, which is ridiculous, because the one thing I love about metal and punk and where they're closely related is their messages are very much the same a lot of times, especially for a lot of the bands that might be like post-hardcore punk or metal or something like that. A lot of the messages are pretty much the same. It's the music that's a little bit different, but it's also one of the big messages is it's for everybody, all encompassing, like get everybody in there because it's about the music. But it sucks that, and you're right, as guys, I've never once gone to a show and was like, I need to kind of inspect if it's going to be a cool place or not.
Yeah.
And things like that.
I also love that you just said Chiodos. Like, they're from 10 minutes down the road from where I'm from. So I got to see them when they were just starting out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's wild because I seen them when they had like when Craig had a crowd of, like 55 people. So then watching a sold out show that wasn't even that big, it was at the Hard Rock Hotel. So mind you, it was probably like only maybe 1,000 people. But even just watching like from one extreme to another is just wild. Like just watching.
I got to see him when they were playing with 30 people. Back in the day in Flint. Yeah, it's awesome that you just said that. That like brought back so many memories for me just hearing the name of that band.
Or like growing up here, like Papa Roach is like right up the street basically. So I used to go with my dad to shows when I was literally probably like 12, 13 years old. So that's kind of what got me into it. But it's weird because we would go see them, at say like the boardwalk that was like maybe 200, 300 people. And then they just did a stadium tour that sold out in like no time flat for expensive tickets. So it's just wild.
Roach will play a 2-hour set, and every song is a hit that they've had.
Yeah.
And it's like I remember when I lived in Florida, Papa Roach was on tour. They were big already. Like Last Resort was massive. They were playing actually at the same place. I saw Sick of It All, and they were there watching a band that was going to be opening up for them the next night. And then he grabbed my ass. No, just kidding, Adam. But
he had to one up you.
Yeah, but no, it was just like he was just there, and he was still 19 years old. People don't realize when they got big, he was like 18, 19 years old. Yeah. And to see them selling out stuff now is huge. So, but again, Maggie, that makes total sense on wanting to check out the vibes and stuff. Again, us guys, not something we really have to worry about. And I'm sure I can't necessarily speak for Bryan here, but I'm sure like setting up a show, it's not something he ever thinks about as far as like he doesn't want anyone to feel unsafe, and he would never think that would be the case. So, I mean, Bryan, what do you think about that as on the artist side of things?
Unfortunately, in today's world, I do have to keep that in mind, actually, about making sure that there's like an enjoyable space, especially here in Philadelphia. There's a good community and things like that. And, not that, people are just walking around here being degenerates and like ruining spaces.
In Philly? No.
Yeah, no. But, it's that, we do have a huge community of women that go out to pop punctures around here. They go out with their boyfriends, they go things like that. And, there's a lack of, all ages shows in that. So the very few, right, there's like a sense of responsibility where it's, right, we don't get to connect with a lot of these fans. A lot of times there's not that many opportunities, right? And if we do, we're kind of going into kind of a DIY mode as opposed to a full show setup. So there's like, we always want to think about, how can we do that? And one of the things in a way you can positively, right, review shows and kind of do that is, I believe that you could handle it in a very, subjective way, where it's never, kind of like I'm giving this like a 2 stars out of 5. But you could definitely, say a vibe like, hey, I went to watch Hummus Vacuum, right? If you love Midwest emo with shreddy solos that are written by someone who definitely plays a lot of metal, but this doesn't sound like metal and also gives you a PowerPoint presentation on some memes, right? That's your band. Go to that show. If, right, you, right, love like 2002 to 2010, post-hardcore with some synthwave in, go check out this band called Driveways. Their show's phenomenal. You'll never see a 3-piece that can make it sound like there's 10 people there.
I had no idea Driveways was 3-piece.
Yeah, Driveways is a 3-piece.
Yeah, and I've recently discovered them probably in the last like 6 months. They're so good.
So good.
I think we might have lost.
Well, let me jump in here. I feel like, as John knows, my background, other than obviously the coaching and the hockey side of things that I've done for nearly 50 years now, my other background is in journalism as a writer, and I can see the double-edged sword side of things that a band or whoever it is has to deal with. And it's, yes, that reviewer, quote unquote reviewer, can be the best thing that ever happened to a band, and at the very same time can be the worst thing that happens. And there's that two sides of it. So I think it's a fine line from your side of things, Bryan, as an active musician to, you know, whether or not that's something you really want to handle. Because let's say, I mean, we have this in sports too. You have an off night, and that just happens to be the time that person's there watching it, and it's not the best night you've ever had, best show you've ever had, and next thing you know, they're posting on a blog somewhere that you guys were horse shit, when really you're not. Just that was just the one night. So it's
especially this day and age where everybody's got a cell phone and they'll post it immediately of how bad you were.
Yeah, and that's why there's definitely like a way to go about it. I do think on the artist side, and this would be more where I would get less subjective and more in a personal opinion. I do think, artists could be a little less selfish. And in a way where I know it's, you have your art, right? But like in the but in the realm of sports, right? You're a very good professional player. You know that block outside noise next game up in a way, or even if you're a firm believer that your art is not for the masses, or not for it, the critic, right? The casual critic, right? You would know, and if you're firm in that belief, you know what to block out. I do think there is a sense in artists to take ownership, especially, and social media in a way is doing that naturally, right? Where they're opening it up, the connection between us and you guys and you and whoever spread thin, where before it might be the 30-mile radius that you check out. But now you can see a band from Philly, you can see a band from London, you could see a band from Singapore, you can see a band from Malaysia, etc. And they can all be ridiculous, etc. It could be a 14-year-old in Buenos Aires. There is a way where you kind of like, yeah, man, maybe my show isn't entertaining. Maybe I am kind of taking too long to kind of be like, talk about inside jokes about my friends that the crowd, obviously, I haven't developed with them, and I got to get to the next song. Yeah. But like, it's like they have developed a relationship where you want to hear it. But then there's a lot of like, it's like, hey, Ted is, that guy. And everyone's like, who's Ted? What is he like?
Yeah.
I'm here because, my friend told me I have no relationship with you. And, I don't want it to be a clique. I want it to be, a very welcoming environment. And that's what people don't get at. You want to really, you want to make everybody, feel part of it, whether, they're sitting at the bar having a drink and not really paying attention, or, they're there because, they're the girlfriend of the boyfriend who, really wants to see that band and invited them. And that happens so many times to so many women where, they're there because their boyfriend likes that band. So thinking more about just the me, myself, and I in that live aspect, not to say that I'm going to be thinking about them in my writing process, but in my show process, I'm making you come out at 7 p.m. I'm asking you to pay $15 at the door. I'm asking you to tip your bartender. I'm asking for your time. And you guys have jobs, kids, lives, friends, things, etc. That hour could be given to anything. So there should be a fair trade-off where I should put in work for you. And at the very least, when you come out to see me, I would hope that, if I get reviewed on something, I would, and I ask my friends all the time, it's like, hey, did our set suck? Did we banter on too much? Did you like the way we worked on this flow? We wanted to be, we want to take accountability of our art, and if we want to be proud of it, we want to be proud of it. We're not going to be.
Do you think that like maybe a podcast per se isn't really a place to review a show, but to more learn about the artist, and maybe like a separate video series where you can kind of learn about, like, get reviews of shows like, oh, I was at this band's show, this and this happened, or the vibes were awesome, they were great with everybody. I mean, or do you kind of think the podcast is more all encompassing when it comes to that kind of stuff, just to learn a little bit about it all?
I think it's all encompassing. I think you could review a show if you're not making it your thing to critique, right? And it's more of a section. I would definitely take more of a of an always positive approach, right? Like if you see a Keith Lee on TikTok when he does his food reviews, he never says anything bad, but he's always like, hey, I tried it, it was good. If you like this, you'll like this. And if at the very minimum it's that, and you're encouraging people to go see the artist, there shouldn't be anybody that would, any artist DMing you being like, hey, why'd you say that? I think they would be a very selfish person to, be like, hey, you just told people to go to their show.
I mean, music's a pretty humbling career profession you're trying to get into in the first place. So now, Mike, when you were young, you were 18, I think, at the start of World War II. So I mean,
about that.
Back then, you really just had to listen to the small radio there. No, Cookie, I did that for you because Cookie's usually the oldest one in the room, and Mike got him this time, as you can see by how young Mike looks in the darkness. Also,
I think start using that technique there, Mike.
I think Meg's phone died, and we lost her on this. And just to kind of give everybody an update, is I did try and reach out to a couple hip hop artists and stuff like that, because I know while I'm very geared towards like metal and Mike is a punk guy, and we all kind of have our genres, and Cookie's a deadhead. Which, by the way, Cookie, I'm still gonna get you one of the Capitals shirts with the dead shirt when we get them. I got you, buddy.
Hell yeah.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, I grew up a huge fan of hip hop, like especially the New York scene hip hop, like in the 90s. And there's a wave of that coming back. And I reached out to a guy, I think he goes by Drama B, and he's blowing up on TikTok right now. Literally, he was posting every 1,000 followers he got. And it was like 3 or 4 times a day. He's like, thanks for 1,000, thanks for 2,000, thanks for 2,000. He just exploded. And, I look at these kind of people, and these are people I would love to talk to, because like real quick succession in how they're growing. I've actually photographed MMA and Muay Thai and stuff like that up in Philly at the 2300 Club up there. And
some Muay Thai.
Oh yeah,
I played there. That's the old ECW arena, right? Yeah, I played there. Yeah.
You should see it now. They've done a lot of things to it. And this company, my friend Manny,
Mike, they have actual electricity now.
Yeah. It's not by candlelight with knights and horses guarding the doors.
There's toilets inside. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I mean, I heard back in the day that was also a very hard thing to come by. I heard that place used to be a mess. But when I was saying earlier, the music industry is on its head, and journalism is completely on its head, which is why I love the idea of kind of bringing honesty back to journalism and getting people back into real journalism. Like, I'm a photojournalist. I'm not a writer. I do love to read a good article. Me and Cookie will share articles back and forth or different interviews and stuff. But, just because we have our podcast here and we want to learn and talk to all these different artists, it doesn't mean that that's the only source. And we've also talked about that, doing different kind of like equipment reviews and show reviews and having some people write. But, Mike, and I apologize, Mike, I got so deep into the joke with you on that one there. We almost lost everything. But, just the way information is traveling these days, and like podcasts now are almost kind of overcoming, I don't want to say the news, but it's overcoming like late night talk shows and things like that. Like, I remember used to staying up late for Saturday Night Live just to watch the bands, in which I still think one of my favorite performances was Faith No More when they were on Saturday Night Live.
My favorite band.
Yeah, I loved that, man. Michael Patton was a genius. But like, with podcasting out there now, we talked about this before. First of all, everybody's doing it. But so we want to make sure we're representing the industry right. We want to make sure we're bringing fans what they want to hear. So Mike, being one of the most hardcore fans of music I know, like, what's not just like the influence like we talked about before, but where do you see, like, in your honest opinion, like, how do you see podcasts fitting into music? Because like I said, there's not a lot of actual music podcasts right now.
I think it could be incredibly helpful, like Bryan said, with like the Keith Lee effect. You come on and you say, you've got however many followers, but you come on and you say, cheer up, Dusty.
Cheer up, Dusty.
You come on.
Question mark.
And you go, yeah, I'm sorry, I have MS. I can't remember.
Like at the end of
My
the
parents'
pop
cat's
punk
not
thing.
very
The
happy.
yellow was conscious, so I moved so you could have the better contrast.
Yeah, that's right. And he's like, cheer up, Dusty. No, we're not cheering up Cookie's parents.
Yeah, my parents'
All right.
cat's not very cheerful at the moment.
And like you come on here and you say this new album, it rocks. Like it's really good, and you can go buy it track by track. It's just I don't know if a podcast that stuff the ADHD, the level that people just cannot sit for an hour and watch or listen to a podcast. You know that podcasts. I don't listen to a lot of them because it was something I did while I was driving. Now that I don't drive anymore, it's I don't really sit and listen to podcasts, which is probably something I should change. But
Mike just sits around and listens to me and Adam bullshit all the time.
Pretty much. Pretty much. If Adam ain't bitching about red
You
shells,
listen to my podcast every week, though.
well, not this
Come
week.
on there.
Adam, it's funny you pointed at Bryan on our screen, on my screen when you
Oh
did
man, he's right next to me.
Yeah. I think, and I'm curious what Adam thinks about this and Adam, we give Adam shit, but he's, he does have his own podcast as well, as a bit of a connoisseur, but I don't know. And I'm saying this as someone that is now, John and I are in season 2 of our own podcast. I don't know that reviewing shows, unless it's like a big festival event, some big event, I don't know that reviewing like just a random Saturday night show is the way to go. I think you can, and Bryan kind of hinted at this, I think, is you can kind of include it in a broader conversation. If you're going to have a band on or whatever, the way I look at it, again, going back to kind of the sports thing, nothing drives me crazier than, there's football games on a Sunday, and then they spend the next week analyzing that 1 3-hour football game. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, how are we going to, our shows are generally an hour to an hour and a half long, and we're saying we're going to review a 2-hour show for an hour and a half. It just doesn't compute. But if it's part of a bigger conversation where, we'll talk about the show, what was great about it, if this is your kind of thing, this is what you're looking for, here it is. By the way, here's the band, and this is what they're about. Let's talk to them. I think that, and I, again, Adam is someone who follows a lot of this as well. I'm curious what you think about that idea.
No, I agree with that. Like, I wouldn't want to sit down and listen to an hour podcast of a review of a show. I wouldn't want to do that. If it's just a little piece of saying, 5-10 minutes worth of, hey, I went and saw this show, this is what happened, I think that would be good. Or every week you just have one that you're like, okay, so this is our weekly review of what we saw this week. Just 5-10 minutes, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to do it like this, is because, like I agree with that. And that was my thought process as well, is like get to know the band here and the podcast, like introduce them as what they are to other people, find a way to get them found online and everything like that. But as far as like shows and everything, like have it its own separate entity. And just music is the one industry that's pretty much safe from everything. And I say safe loosely. Like during the pandemic, people turned to music. A lot of artists stayed home, started playing their music online. TikTok was a humongous help for that. And I sound like I'm talking TikTok up right now, but let me tell you, I'm pissed at TikTok currently. I'm always pissed at him. Adam.
I was about to say, I don't know why you're saying currently. You bitch about it all the time.
Oh, it's a whole new level, Cookie. It is a whole new level now.
You've said that before too.
Yeah, it keeps growing. but it is also a great resource for a lot of people. Like we're using it to promote this. Yeah. I use it. I brought back a Mental Health Monday video. I hadn't done one of those in months. And it's a great resource, those kind of things, and to review them. But like, the one thing I loved about the podcast, and the one thing I loved about what we did in season 1 is me and Cookie were explaining, like we had a lot of people on that had this pretty tremendous story about adversity. They came over, and a lot of the people we had no idea. Yeah. Like we knew some of it. Like Adam's story is tremendous. I'll make sure we link that one in here.
And we'll make sure we'll tell him to his face, and as much as he hates it, that he's an absolute inspiration. Fuck you, Adam. You are.
Oh,
Especially
Yeah,
since
Adam,
he got
you're really
fingered
cool.
by
Fuck you.
Phil and Selma there. But and Mike
Nothing
has an amazing.
nothing like calling someone an inspiration and then telling them to fuck right off.
Yeah. Mike's another one. I mean, Mike and Adam, I know both from the MS community and the stuff I was doing within all of that. And became two of my favorite human beings on earth. Mike is the one person on this planet I can send any quote from any of the Kevin Smith movies, which I was joking about, and he immediately will follow it up with whatever the next line is in those movies. And Mike, we had like a 2-hour conversation about just trying to figure out the Three Sisters the other day.
yep.
But
The Jones sisters.
the Joneses. But it's
And John can just say any disability jokes that he wants to me and just get it out because he knows I won't care.
He knows we don't. Yeah, we don't care.
You not only do you not care, you encourage me to tell it to new people. Like, there'll be strangers and be like, John, remember you made that joke about me?
Because I love the reaction that people get. It's so good.
I mean,
So good.
It's some pretty crazy things I say, but like, but that's the thing with these podcasts is like you learn things about people you'd never guess. And Cookie and I, there's plenty of times last year we'd get done. We keep it cool and professional during.
We're talking music. Frankus is a prime example.
Yep.
Frankus from
Until the Avalanche.
Prime example.
Has his own story, and Bryan and people from his band when we have them come on to tell the story, like we don't know what we're gonna hear, and Cookie and I make it a point to not learn anything about people so we can hear it for the first time. But there's been plenty of times Cookie and I get off an episode and the other people leave and we're just like,
what the hell?
Holy shit! Like we need a breather after that one, and that's kind of what I see the importance of the podcast. It's almost just like a easier and a little bit localized version of a talk show that we used to have to stay up really late to watch, but now you can kind of consume it whenever you want. The reviews are separate.
I think, I was about to say, I think that's why it's key to keep reviews, whether they're separate or very short part of a bigger conversation, because the whole idea of what we're doing here, and it's our theme now, it's going to be on our merch, which is coming soon, not to be all promo like that, but
plug it.
Yeah. It's the whole, what's your story? Like, I back when I was shooting bands, I would see the bands I work with being interviewed all the time. And Bryan, you've probably dealt with it. It's the same cookie cutter shit, that people ask you all the time for, whether it's for a blog or a little local shout out. Our idea is to go deeper. And like John said, we go into this intentionally not doing research. We want to hear the story firsthand. And, we've been blown away by what happens when that occurs. And, it's, that's kind of where I think the beauty of what we're trying to do here is. And I think it's important to share those stories. I say this all, and someone even tried to argue with me. Everybody's got a story, even if they think they don't. I know I'm not going to bring it up now, but you've hinted at it. So when we have you on, as when we're covering just the band itself, you mentioned, immigrating here as a young guy. That's something I'm putting in the memory banks. We're going to talk about that because that caught my ear right away.
Are you seeing his words, Cookie? Caught your eye?
But
I see colors.
Those are the kind of things like I never would have known. Like, I'm just thinking South Jersey, Philly guy, and then you throw that out there, that little nugget. Well, that's
I thought about that too when he said he mentioned a city, someone from some city before, and he said it with an accent.
Buenos Aires.
Yeah. So I
heard that.
I did catch that, but yeah,
there might have been a hint in there, John.
Yep, and that's honestly why I wanted to do this more of a panel style thing, is because like Cookie and I will never sit there and go, listen, we're podcast experts. We did this on a whim. We absolutely got hooked on.
This serious.
No, and we got hooked on listening to people's stories because we both love to learn about people and things. Like we're always looking to learn about stuff, but as people who's putting stuff out there now, we are paying more attention to what people want and what will people want to see and what will people want to hear. And that's why we wanted to do something like this, because we could have had an idea, but Bryan being in the industry, actively in the industry, I mean, what you're doing now is 100% different than when I was in a band trying to make something out of it. Nothing's the same. Except writing songs and fighting with your bandmates sometimes.
Even when I was shooting bands, it was MySpace. Like that's all we had.
Yeah.
Back when I was still doing photography for bands, it was MySpace. We didn't have all this other stuff.
Yeah, and the world's just so different. And now people are more open about talking about their things, and you're connecting with it more. And maybe it's just because we're older and we pay attention to things more, but we're actually hearing what these songs are about. Mike, I mean, back in the day, everything like
Right,
silent pictures and
to sound like the resident old guy. Like, we had mixtapes. We didn't even have mixed CDs. We had mixtapes.
brother, I remember the
better than a good
mixtape. Let me tell
mixtape.
you,
Yeah, so do I. So
That's
Nothing
how I
better than
got.
a good mixtape.
those cassette
That's how
tapes
I-
were the only reason I ever kept a pencil around in case I ever had to like wind it back up.
when you're listening to the radio and you're like, "Ooh, I like this song," you got to run
You
up
miss
and
it.
record it.
Yep.
You miss
Oh
it.
yeah.
You got to time it just right.
You sit there forever.
Somebody gave me Master and Puppets on a cassette, and they were like, "Here, check this out." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Hey, this is good. You got more?"
Yeah. So I mean, with the world being so different, information being immediately consumable, I appreciate you guys all coming up here. And Meg, I'm guessing I guess her phone died, or she was abducted by aliens. I don't know. Either's possible. But you know, it's important to hear the other side of things. We're gonna have Bryan from Cheerupdusty and hopefully the whole band in for an
Excited for
episode
that.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to have them here. Adam and Mike will always be back. Also, if you're on TikTok, follow us because you never know. We're going to do some pillow talk with Dirty Mike and the boys.
Hell yeah.
You got to throw
You said it wrong.
It's
we
Dirty
gotta throw Adam
Pillow
some
Mike
love
and the boys.
too. Go find Adam on Podcaster Bait. Got to throw him some love.
Yep. Troy and Adam are the two main guys for Podcaster Bait now. It is funny, you know, but if you have a career, don't go on the
Yeah.
show.
Just have a beverage handy or something. It gets
Last week was pretty solid. Mike had the comment of the night, but we did a little section where we were coming up with song title names and the artist with which you could add on to while I jerk off, and there were some solid ones.
And this is why you got to be careful on the show.
And you got to hear our beautiful singing
be
voices.
prepared when you
is
go
what
to
happened.
watch Podcaster Bait.
Yeah,
be prepared.
it is funny, and you know what the funny thing is like I've got to talk to Troy off the app a little bit, especially when we're trying to talk about Riverside and all this other. Troy's amazing. He's a great dude.
Troy's a great guy.
And the show it is funny. I'm in there. Adam, the very first time I heard Adam's like, "Hey, I'm going to be on my friend's podcast. Come in there and troll." And I was like,
Yep.
"Same last
I
night."
got the same text.
Yep, I've been in there wreaking havoc ever since. But yeah, it's
What's funny is that's how I started. I started in the comments wreaking havoc, and Troy's like, "Man, this guy's funny." Now I'm a co-host.
But yeah, we look forward to more of this. We look forward to you know, we have the ideas of having somebody host and interview these bands, and we're still kicking around ideas on it. But we didn't want to wait to put out a music episode. We're looking forward to getting Cheer Up Dusty on here. We got some other acts that we're looking to get on here as well, and you know, there's just a lot to look forward to with that. But I appreciate you guys coming because, like I said, being on the other end of it as fans and the artists themselves, knowing what is wanted from your guys' side is important to us. So if we want you guys to listen. So if we're putting out what you guys want to listen to, we have a better chance of you guys actually tuning in. But don't be friends with us. Like, we can't be friends with any of you guys because our friends and family don't listen to our show.
Yeah, no.
It's only non-friends and family. So
It's a growing theme. Our families don't even watch us.
no, just my stepmom.
Yeah.
I don't want my family to watch me.
I don't want my family to. I struggle to watch yours.
But we appreciate you guys all coming here again for All Angles Podcast. Our music day is going to be on Wednesdays. It's Tuesday as recording. This is going to be out tomorrow. It's not usually a 1 day turnaround, but
That should be fun.
I just wanted to throw us into the fire on this one. So Adam, Mike, Bryan, we appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you guys.
Nah, appreciate you,
I
my
say
man.
coming out like you flew to my house.
It was
Thanks
awesome.
for
Thank
having
you
me
guys.
on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate that.
Mike, it's been so great to see your face so clearly this whole time, man. I love it. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
It's cool to meet all you guys too. Seriously, have a good one,
Absolutely,
y'all.
Brian.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Brian.
yeah, nice to meet you, Brian.
Fuck you,
Okay.
John.